Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps. It is I, your host of the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back in the yard of streams for yet another SmackDown breakdown after a week hiatus, part of Pitts and Sara's wrestling show. And obviously, you can't have Pitts and Sara's wrestling show without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. Sara, what's poppin', girl?
Hey yo.
Hey yo. Hello.
Hey, yo.
Welcome
Yo.
back.
Thank you. We are back in the yard of streams for another edition of the SmackDown breakdown. We were off last week. I'm sorry. I got to celebrate my main peep, my best friend's birthday up in I Say God's country.
And today is Patty's birthday. Woohoo! Happy
is.
birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you very much. It is the champion's birthday. Yeah, I was up in New Hampshire, whatever. It is the champ's birthday, as you alluded to. And yeah, damn right. And I'm going to have anyone who comes into the Yard of Streams audience, if you have a question for the champ, one question only. I'm treating this, I saw this somewhere, and I'm like, I kind of love it, where you get one question. You can ask me anything. This is my birthday. I'll answer it. And I have to give my honest answer.
It's like an in-person virtual AMA.
Exactly. But it's for everybody like that I'm friends with, like encountering that day. You get one question. I have to answer honestly. And anyone, thank you to the Davids for shouting me out there.
Woohoo!
But you just have to ask it. We'll keep it to wrestling in here today, okay? When I go out later to celebrate with my main peeps out in the greatest city on earth, Boston, Massachusetts, I will be doing the same thing in person. So you guys get a first treat because, you guys are loyal. When you were asking, it's Sara, you mentioned it, that people were asking for the SmackDown breakdown stream. And I was like,
last
wow,
week, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I didn't get like a ton of feedback, but I saw that some of you guys did vote in my community poll about wanting some reaction videos. So I'm going to try and figure that out. And then if you guys have certain wrestling related content that you want me to react to, please send it, because I'm already like, I have a couple ideas, but I've seen a lot of these videos. So that's why it makes it a little bit more difficult, because I'm like, I've already seen this, but
I had in topics, honestly, topics. I was Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. John Alba, our good friend. Thank you, Nathaniel. Our good friend of the show, John Alba. He said that someone was commenting on each episode. When are we going to get a Gilbert Hardy podcast, like an episode? And that's their dad, for anyone who didn't know. And with Father's Day, I think 2 weeks ago, they did one for the week leading up to Father's Day. And it was probably one of my favorite episodes. That and the Adam Cole one, which you guys should all go check out. So, I mean, if you guys give us a topic, it could end up being one of our best shows. We don't know. We just have a bottomless pit of wrestling knowledge, and we can share that. But the problem is, where do you go? We can go so many different directions. That's why we have to have the Raw Rewind, my own nonsense, the show that I host with the Pitts and Sara Wrestling Show, and then we have the SmackDown breakdown, because there's so much that we have to do 3 days. Just give us content so we can do for that Thursday episode. And guess too who we should reach out to, because we would love to have. We had BRG on a month or two back, so check it out. All right, we're going. But yeah, Sara, I fell asleep last night during SmackDown, and not because it was boring, for anyone who's going to call out the champ. Got to be up at 4 a.m. So when you're up at 4 a.m., you kind of nod off at 9 anyways. So I caught the first live, and then when I came home today before we hopped in here, I rewatched it, obviously. And I didn't really realize that certain things were scrapped and changed. Obviously, the LA Knight is one thing, but I didn't realize that certain matches were scrapped, and I still thought it was a fine show. I didn't think it was amazing, but I thought it was a solid SmackDown. That's like, all right, I'm gonna watch next week. I'm satisfied.
I mean, I'll be watching next week, but I have a few issues with the show, but we'll get into that when we get to those certain
we have
things.
this.
Yeah. Because I was not completely thrilled, but
Oh, thanks, Bernard.
also don't
you.
forget Ashton said it as well.
Pop in, Ashton. Thank you so much.
So let's just get into it because I just want to talk about this. So
Hey, do it.
obviously, or maybe not obviously, Vince McMahon was making a lot of changes last night apparently, which I it's funny because I saw some people's reaction to this, and it's like some people think that the dirt sheets that like reveal this like every single week or whatever are kind of like fear mongering or like just saying it like even though it's not happening. But I mean, I'm sure there are some people who do that, but this isn't something that is being said every single week, so I don't think that is necessarily true. And I think there was definitely massive changes last night that showed you that Vince was more involved than, like when we were just talking about how people were talking about Raw this week and how Vince had his hands on that. And it was like, that wasn't an episode where we were like, oh, what happened here? Or why was this? This is definitely something that I felt like you could tell that Vince was doing something. And mostly because you already alluded to it was the scrap matches. So the biggest one that people took issue with was Bayley versus Shotzi, which had the Money in the Bank ramifications attached to it. So that happened last week when Io accepted Shotzi's challenge to put Bayley's Money in the Bank position on the line for their match, and that match ended up not happening. So not only was that kind of problematic because they, next week they're in London and next week is Money in the Bank on Saturday. So it's like, it wouldn't really necessarily make sense to have Bayley lose her spot a day before
I disagree.
the show.
Completely.
It could happen, but I'm saying like it would have been cooler if it actually just happened when it was supposed to happen. But the bigger issue is, why does Vince McMahon continuously cut matches with Bayley? Because this is like the third time when we hear that he is taking control and making massive changes that Bayley was cut. Like, we can't forget Becky versus Bayley in the steel cage match. That was cut on Raw. So this is, I forget what the other one is, but there's another instance. So I just kind of wonder what's the issue with Bayley, Vinny? What's going on?
Okay. What I gather from this, they want to make the London show, SmackDown show, as big as possible. And I felt like this is an automatic, at least in my eyes. Shotzi wins, Bayley screwed by Io, and then Bayley interferes with Io, and that's our shock at Money in the Bank. Zelina wins it, whatever. But
that's because you want Zelina to win.
I actually really want Io. I just want her to cash in and just win it already and have a massive reign. The problem is with winning it this week or doing it this week is you still have a week before the Money in the Bank itself, like a whole other SmackDown. So what are you going to do during that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you going to do during that for them? Like another backstage segment? Well, you cannot have them on the show this week and then have that shock moment leading into Money in the Bank. So it's fresh in the people's minds that happened. So when she comes out, it's even more of a shock because it's already predictable already. Why not just put it together?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where my mind goes. I will say that it is really weird that he cuts Bayley matches so often. I would like to know more about like the trends with that.
Well, and the problem with this even more so is that she was one of the very few, if not the only superstar promoting the show locally and promoting her match, even as recent as yesterday morning. So I feel like it kind of sucks that they cut her match at the last second, but then you were using her to promote the show and sell tickets and promote her match. And then you're like, LOL, just kidding. Her match is canceled now. And it's like, why were you having her do all of that? If then you were toying with the idea of moving her match to next week or just cutting it completely. Like, it just was like really weak timing. And I just feel bad because it's like I said, it's not the first time that they've done this with her. And so, you know, there was that time period where she was sending out some pretty like down tweets too about her position on the roster and with WWE. And it's like, you guys can't lose Bayley because you're doing this type of stuff. Like, you can't do that. So I don't know. But like you said, I'd like to know kind of a little bit more reason because it just doesn't really make any sense.
It doesn't add up.
They also cut Cameron Grimes versus Baron Corbin. I'm not saying that is like a huge problem necessarily, but I was kind of looking forward to this because we're yet to see Cameron Grimes do a whole lot since he's been on the main roster, and I was kind of looking forward to seeing him in a match. But I think the problem is that in some instances when you think about matches being scrapped, you think about, okay, what did replace them? And I don't know that there was like better quality stuff throughout the entirety of the show that would say like, oh, it makes sense that this was dropped or it makes sense that was dropped. You know what I mean? But I mean, cutting this seems to make, I don't know. Does it make more sense than Bayley? I don't know.
Were the Street Profits Pretty Deadly? Was that advertised?
No, and I only saw, we'll get into it. I only saw the Grayson Waller effect thing posted by him yesterday afternoon. So I think that was also added because they've promoted.
That was on Monday. I heard about that. We were talking about that on Monday.
We didn't talk about Grayson Waller effect with
No. We separately from the Yard of Streams were like, oh, Pretty Deadly on Grayson Waller effect. I remember knowing about this.
Oh, I don't remember, but I'm just saying, like, I don't. The match, no, the match was definitely not advertised.
So maybe that could have.
Maybe.
So
they also cut Butch versus Santos Escobar versus LA Knight, which I didn't really care about this being scrapped because obviously we know that LA Knight got another match, which we'll get into. And this, I feel like I understand the point of like trying to hype up the Money in the Bank matches, and that's why they're kind of doing this because they're also having one on Raw with the women this coming Monday. But I don't really care. Like, I feel like this is the kind of stuff, like, don't do these matches ahead of time because you want to save that excitement or the energy or whatever they're going to be doing in the match for the ladder match. You don't want to like tire people out from showing this kind of stuff too much beforehand. You know what I mean?
Hold on. We're going to take a pit stop real quick because Sara. So hear me out. I'm really proud of that one too.
Okay.
Michael Cole said on the broadcast that Butch flew over early with the other Money in the Bank participants to England, to London. He did say that.
Okay. So, but then that would mean that half of them aren't going to be on Raw.
Well, the other
because Raw is
half of them are on SmackDown.
I know, but that means like Damien's not going to be on Raw. That's all I mean.
They could just have sent the SmackDown people over there for promotion.
Maybe.
So you sent the SmackDown people over there. That's why they scrapped the match because you want this was smart. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but it's smart that if they're actually over there or if they're not over there but doing something else to promote the pay-per-view, I don't care. Great, they're an employee.
Mm-hmm.
LA Knight still facing Ray, as weirdly connected as it was exactly what the fans wanted.
Well, let's not get too much into it yet.
Yeah, but I'm not replacing.
Okay.
I'm not saying anything that spoils. It gets the two Santos and Butch out of there because your focus, and they want the fans' focus right now to be on LA Knight. They're kind of learning that, oh shit, we need to probably steer into the skid with this and kind of like look at the pops he's getting. So my mind went there. So it made sense that match got scrapped. The others, I don't know about.
I think that it makes sense regardless of if Butch was there or not. Just because I don't know. I mean, they're LA Knight pushed Ray last week, so it's like that's a match that we want to see.
Details like little shit like that.
Yeah. So One of my biggest gripes, which we know his schedule, so I'm not saying that this is a shock, but they had been promoting so much about the Bloodline Civil War taking place. There was graphics. They even had a graphic promoting SmackDown with Roman dead center on it, promoting SmackDown and the Civil War, blah, 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 blah. But guess what? He was not there. And like I said, he had posted his schedule, and I believe that we knew that he wasn't going to be there. But I just think that they need to then be cautious of the types of endings that they're leaving us with on SmackDown, because this did not feel like a SmackDown that he should have not been there for. I feel like you don't end SmackDown with him taking double super kicks to the chin after Jay chooses to side with his brother, and then next week they're trying to fill it, and again the Usos start off the show, they're talking whatever, and they talk about how they're going to be fighting the family and how it's wrong because family's supposed to support family, blah, blah, blah. But then they're trying so hard to hone in on this Paul Heyman thing. And that the reason that they're doing it is because Roman's not going to be there every week. So they need to have some sort of beef that is more legitimate with like Paul Heyman or Solo, because their main focus has been Roman. And now it's like, fuck Paul Heyman. And then, once we get there, they get to the end of the show and they do stuff with Solo. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But it's like, I wanted to see what Roman was going to do this week.
Because they got you. They got you. That's why. The whole aspect, it gives a villain for the next chapter, we'll say, of the Bloodline story. Like, think of Civil War. I just compare this to Avengers because they're legitimately doing Avengers type of movie with the Bloodline. And their Civil War. All right. After Civil War, it's the Infinity Saga, and it's pretty much the end and all that stuff. That's what Royal Rumble, Fastlane, whatever you want to call it, No Way Out, WrestleMania is going to be. So right now they're preparing for that, and you need a villain to culminate at Mania, because the rumor around is that Roman is going to turn babyface at some point.
Yeah,
and
not
the
anytime
best
soon,
way
though.
to do it, not anytime soon. WrestleMania is not anytime soon.
I don't know. I don't think that's happening.
Well,
I think
you're just
he's,
gonna
as
make
long
a
as
villain out of Paul Heyman, or it gives another villain to who to direct their anger at, because it's another Sami Zayn element.
well, that's what I'm
It's exactly
saying.
what
Is
the
like
opposite
it
of Sami Zayn
helps.
is.
It helps in to have that in Roman's absence. But I still think that as long as he's champion, he needs to be a heel. He can't just automatically wake up one day and be like, I'm a good guy now.
No, he wouldn't be champion anymore.
So that's what I'm saying. He has to be as long as he's champion, he has to be a bad guy, is what I'm saying.
No, he'll turn face at when he loses, comes back as a face, because Paul Heyman will have like tried to screw him or whatever, and he'll lose because of it, and he'll turn and he'll be face again because everyone's gonna get so behind the Usos, and they're gonna get, because it's the Samoan family element of it, where you have that I just lost my train of thought. When you have, that's family, that's blood, they're the bloodline, and they kicked out Sami Zayn for not being blood. Well, there's still somebody in the bloodline who's not blood. Your wise man should be blood because it's the bloodline.
Ways that this can go. It's very confusing and overwhelming for my brain to try and
Oh,
process.
it's
Every
fantastic.
single week we're trying to think of different things that are going to happen. So it's just a lot. But
story in wrestling.
I disagree. I do think we're going to see him turn babyface at a different point. I don't think it's going to be soon, but we shall see. There's plenty of time between now and whenever, because there's just so much going on.
Give me all the popcorn. Give me all the popcorn.
Oh.
I will eat just this entire time. Just I'm in. I'm so bought into the bloodline. Story wrestling.
Bernard says, I think he's turning face at least after WrestleMania or SummerSlam. I'm assuming he means next year's SummerSlam. I think Paul can trigger that once he turns on Roman.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I love the idea of Paul turning on Roman.
That's not blood.
I know, but I don't know. But I like it. I almost like it more about Roman turning on Paul. I don't know that I love Paul being the one to do it. Like, I feel like I don't know that there's a fan base that's like such a big fan base of Paul that it's going to get the same reaction as if Roman, like I think Roman doing it would make people get behind Roman more than Paul doing it and then people rallying behind Roman. I don't know. I think I'd prefer it the other way,
Okay.
but that's just my opinion, you know, because you
Say it.
don't think
Say
that
it,
he
girl.
would do that. That otherwise that means that he would that Paul was the bad guy the whole time. Like
Yeah.
he was the one manipulating Roman, but then doesn't that like delegitimize everything that Roman has done up to this point? I
No.
don't know. I don't know. I'm too sometimes I think
No.
I'm too like literal for these kinds of things.
Yeah, you
Um
gotta step outside the artistry.
no, it's because you come up with these crazy dream theories
They're
and I just don't jump on
amazing,
board.
Sarah. They are amazing.
Bernard
I
says I
am
think he's
a
turning face.
Booker's.
Oh, did he already say this? Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, you could-
I was reading this.
Place to love.
I was reading
I
the
am
same
a
comment.
Booker's dream.
No.
Oh, my mind goes places you can't handle.
All right. Anyway, let's move on to Mr. LA Knight. So even though his triple threat match was canceled, we got LA Knight versus Rey Mysterio, and it was another match where I mean that crowd wanted to see LA Knight. They chanted his name as it was being announced, and there is this one I saw this one video from a fan who was like sitting a few rows behind the commentator's desk. And so they have, you know, the perfect shot of like the ring. And you could see that when LA's music hit and people were like, yeah, Ray is standing in the ring and kind of like looking at the people in the front row or whoever that's like right there and being like, but like you were just cheering for me. Like, what's going on? Like, even he was like playing it up, like, what's going on here? So I thought that was kind of funny because, you know,
don't see that.
Yeah.
That's a special, and it's unbelievable how he just has the entire WWE universe in his hand. It's incredible how he is on the mic.
Yeah.
He could just like he doesn't have to wrestle.
I know.
But then he goes in there and puts on a hell of a match with Rey Mysterio.
Mhm.
That honestly, solid TV match. I was entertained.
It's funny because, you know, before getting into the details or whatever, when I saw that Vince was going to be, or he had made changes, I assumed that was going to be bad news for LA Knight because Vince was not a fan of LA Knight. Hence why when he called him up from NXT, he changed him to Max Dupree. And there was a report that was coming out recently that was saying that a lot of it had to do with his age and they weren't sure about him being like a wrestler at that age, and so that's why they moved him into like more of a managerial role.
Is he like 44?
He like is just 40. Like
Bobby Lashley's 53.
I know, it's just like I know we talked about this and someone actually commented on the clip when we talked about this months ago. About that rumor going around being like, is he too old for a push? Because people were talking about that. And it's like, absolutely not. Like, we're talking about the Usos. Are the Usos, would you consider the Usos are in their prime? They're 37. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Finn Balor, probably in his prime, 41. You know?
I think the Usos got like 5 good golden years left.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there are people who get lucky, I guess, and, you know, maybe they're really fresh to wrestling and they hit their prime 25, 26, 27, and that's lucky because you have to start. I mean, there's not a lot of wrestlers who have enough experience or whatever to end up in WWE at that young of an age. Hence why, you know, that's something that Austin Theory continually regurgitates about himself because he is only 25. But a lot of the time, it's just like with anything, though, with more experience, more wisdom, more understanding of life and work and yourself, it's usually not until like your mid 30s that people thrive because it is like that era of your life where you figure things out and you feel more comfortable with yourself and you're willing to do more and whatever. So the idea of being 35 and over and being too old, I'm like, okay, then Roman shouldn't have been the guy because he started pushing him when he was like 35. Like, are you serious right now? So
it was a long road for Roman.
Yeah, so that made me a little bit nervous about Vince handling things last night, but he actually seemed to maybe be on a different page with LA Knight, because he could have very easily put him in the triple threat, very easily could have cut the triple threat and did nothing with him, but he put him in a match with Rey Mysterio and had him win clean, which is
you.
like, what?
I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, I
It's
was shocked.
It's a squat. It was a squash match for the other side, but in a different way.
I thought it was cool
More
that they
of a
had
put
him.
over.
Yeah, I liked that they had him stop the 619 like twice. Like, I was just like, what is going on? This was cool. He wins with the BFT, and I'm just like, this is great. So I wonder if this does mean anything for his Money in the Bank status, because
I've read that they don't have a clue right now.
I know,
I don't blame them.
And this is the thing. Yeah, it is confusing, but we've talked about that the only ones who make the most sense, like if we're excluding Logan Paul, because if we're going to say this is just a build up for Logan Paul versus Ricochet, there's no reason for either of them to win the briefcase, because they don't need to be, feuding each other. Agreed. When one has a briefcase, right? So if you exclude even just Logan Paul, the only ones that make any sense would be Damian and LA Knight. It's like the only ones that would make the most sense for them to have a briefcase, just given where they are in their careers and the fan reaction, right?
You got to give it to,
that's why I'm stuck, right? This is what I mean. I would love for Damian to have it as much as people.
But doesn't this scream year for a failed cash in on both sides?
But the rumor right now is the men's winner is going to cash in successfully, which is going to be a cash in on Roman, because they won't cash in on Seth, not on Roman. And the other rumor is that the women's winner is going to have a failed cash in.
That's what I read. So, that's why I'm like fine with Zelina Vega.
Because if she loses,
if she loses the cash in, she got so close, and she had
I still just feel like
it's building her up.
Yeah. So what I find interesting about that, though, is that they don't have an idea of who's going to win the men's Money in the Bank, at least allegedly from what we're seeing. But they already have determined that whoever wins is going to become champion from their cash in. I find that interesting, because I'm like, you don't even know who's going to win yet. But so this is where I'm kind of stuck, because obviously LA Knight winning would be amazing. The fans are incredible. I mean, if he's over in London, then the roof is going to blow off the O2 if he won. So it makes sense. It makes sense for Damian to get it, because it then like propels him forward in the Judgment Day. Then it kind of continues with the feud between him and Finn, because Finn has this match and whatever. And then that rivalry. But then people are also talking about how it kind of makes sense for Logan to win. And I hate this, and I'm not endorsing it. But give me a second. I'm not endorsing it whatsoever.
I know you're not. I'm still reacting.
But the reason why people think it makes sense is because he has already had issues with Roman in the past, and he had recent issues with Seth Rollins, because he just had a match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So it makes sense for him to have the briefcase. But this is the thing. Whatever, right? Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm still in shock.
Yeah. So the problem is why are we going to go so far back? Like, why do we have to go back nearly a year to make a case for Logan to get the briefcase to go against Roman? No one cares. We've had that match. He lost the match. There's no room for that. He had a match with Seth at WrestleMania. Let's not go back to Mania. Like, those are feuds that are like dead and gone. Like, we don't need to revisit them. I think that we want the briefcase to go to somebody new who doesn't have that opportunity. Obviously, we know Logan just asks for a match and he gets it. So yeah, I agree with Ashton. If Logan wins,
that's what there it is.
Yeah, I won't be happy either. And I'm saying I don't think that he should win. But I don't think
anyone should be happy if he wins. Honestly,
I'm surprised that people are actually sitting there thinking that he makes the most sense. I'm like, do you watch the product every single week? Because LA Knight makes the most sense. Damian Priest makes the most sense. Logan Paul winning makes the least sense, in my opinion, out of all. One of the least
out of
sense.
Every one of them. He's in there to have a sick ladder spot that has the WWE go viral and then set up a match at SummerSlam with Ricochet so that you have just 20 minutes of viral content for the next like year.
Yep.
In
So
one match.
Yeah, so that's why I just think it's like, I don't know. It's just crazy. So, anyway, we'll have to see. I can't believe it's only a week away. Can you believe that?
I'm so fucking excited.
Maybe we should do like a post show. Oh, are you gonna be working?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Remember how I broke news the last time that we weren't gonna be doing a stream like on air? Well,
Yeah.
okay, no, you're rolling your eyes. Opposite day,
Okay.
I am staying in to watch that pay-per-view. Like I'm not when wrestling pay-per-views are on, that is
But it starts at 3 p.m. your time.
yeah, so then you go live after it. We could go 3 hours
No.
and I'd still
Oh, I know. I was just asking it like, do you have to work on Saturday? Like, are you gonna
Yeah,
miss
but I
any
get
of
out
it?
at 2.
Okay. Perfect. I was just gonna say we could have like live reactions afterwards,
Yeah, and
possibly.
Sora might be here too, so we can do a guest thing. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, and
Like,
it'll be earlier because it'll probably be at
the
like 7 your time or something that
and
it's
then we
over.
can go booze in Boston
Well, have fun.
like the champions do. Look at
I'm
that.
all the way over here, so
Shout out Militia, baby.
All right. Anyway, so
Maybe with
look
some
forward to
spirit
that,
though,
guys.
yeah.
We'll probably set that up. I'll
Breaking
probably
news
set
for
up.
people here.
Yeah, I'll probably schedule the stream, and then just have like a tentative time, probably at like 8 p.m. or something, just so that like it it probably won't go that late, but we'll see. But that's exciting. We can do that
WrestleMania has been 7 hours before.
because and we haven't done a post stream or anything in a while.
Long time.
Yeah, and I would say a watch along, but I don't know that I want to watch along with this. I want to be able to like pay attention. You know what I mean?
No, I'm gonna be.
Yeah, you're gonna be
here.
Yeah. So, leading into what would eventually be the main event, we had Solo Sikoa walking backstage with a frightened looking Paul Heyman behind him, and Solo was looking a little bit angry. And it's funny because I saw people who didn't recognize Ridge at first. I didn't recognize him either. I was like, who the fuck is this? Like, just like walking in front of him and then like Stringer. I was like, and then it took me a second to realize it was Ridge because you like don't really ever see him just like chilling in normal clothes. So I thought it was interesting that they had him walk by and was like, what are you looking at? Like, what? Why would you say that to Solo Sikoa of all people?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I said he was deserving, because I was like, you could have just been like, oh, I'm sorry, or like just not said anything, but like it's Solo, like you were asking to get your ass beat. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's he is right now the most frightening man in WWE, hands down. So to go up to him, you're in a bad mood. All right, you're just not. Butch left you. He went to London already. You and Sheamus are just probably APA-ing it in the back, and then you have fucking
with some
Solo,
Guinness.
Some nice Guinness pints, some pints of Guinness.
Yeah,
that was terrible. That was awful. And then just Sheamus, why he's mad is because he lost his drinking buddy.
It was just
he can play 52 pickup.
The whole thing was just like so funny to me because then it leads to like Sheamus coming out and just be like, I need a match with you, Solo. And I was like, what is happening? Like, why? Like, you're so mad that Ridge got Samoan spiked and he's like choking in the back, and they're all like, oh, Ridge, are you okay? Meanwhile, dude's like dying, like he's like can't breathe.
Man.
Yeah. And they're all like, oh, are you okay? And it's just okay. And then Sheamus is like, get your ass out here and I want a match. And then he leaves. I'm like, this is so weird because like you would think it would happen then. I mean, I understand.
He just shouts it to the mountains.
He was just like letting everyone know. Like, I'm just letting you know, this is me setting up the main event.
Had a nice soliloquy on the entrance ramp.
It was just like, it was so weird. So that led to the main event, which, I mean, there were certain aspects of the show that I felt like screamed a little bit of Vince McMahon. This seemed like a little bit of Vince to me, but it is what it is. I guess Solo accepted the challenge because it ended up happening, and it wasn't even really a match. I would say it was more of an ass beating. And he went crazy in this match to show just how mad he was about his brothers talking that ish.
I mean, when
and
you go
turning
through a
on him and
barricade,
Roman last week, and it ends in a no contest because Sheamus is killed on live TV, guys. He was killed on live TV.
I mean, he just went through a barricade like
Yeah,
a
but then Solo
Raggedy
kept
Ann
going.
doll.
He hits a Samoan spike on an EMT. Like, what is happening?
This man is out of control.
Drags Sheamus's body so he can stand over it. Like, what is happening? It's like reading it. It seemed like a horror novel. Like, it was like he pulled his body from the trenches to stand over it to claim victory. I was like, what? It was weird. But then the Usos do come out and they were like, excuse me, why are you beating up our BFF Sheamus? And they beat him up. They hit him with the super kicks and the splashes to end SmackDown. So I don't remember. I'll have to look if Roman is there next week.
He is.
But he is. Oh, yes, that's right. We'll get into that. Right. Yeah. Well, because there's a period where he misses 2 weeks.
Well,
so
he's got a lot of business to take care of.
He has so much stuff to do as the champion. But
he's on the island of irrelevancy.
Yeah.
Right? No, that's really where I am. That's a great
irrelevancy. Yeah. No.
That is, you guys witnessed lightning in a bottle right there.
So anyway, I did kind of like this just because, like we were saying earlier, this gives there a little bit more depth to this whole storyline for when Roman isn't around. And this, of course, does add to the match up that they basically just told us was happening between the Roman and Solo and the Usos. They just were like, oh, yep, it's happening. I'm like, it would have been kind of cool if you like waited until Raw to announce it or something. I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. But this adds a little bit more to that because Solo was just, hit last week, but they hadn't really exchanged words with him or anything really. So this just shows, he is pissed off. Blah, blah, blah. That's why I would love it for Solo to be the one who turns as well. But I don't want to get into all that at this moment because there's just too many.
There's a lot.
There's too many hypothetical situations that could happen from the bloodline. It's overwhelming. So we'll have to see what happens with Roman next week because this is a problem too, guys. Do not forget, next week, SmackDown is going to be pre-taped because it is happening in London. So if you do not want to see spoilers before it's live for you, make sure that you avoid the internet for a few hours because they're pre-taping it.
It will get spoiled. Don't think you're different.
100%. I mean, you can't keep an entire country quiet. You know what I mean? You can't be like England.
That's a hell of a lie.
Don't spoil it for those Americans who haven't seen it yet. They don't give a fuck. Like,
you think we took their land, Sara?
Yes. We created we created America to get away from royalty. They hate us. But anyway, so I mean, to me, I don't really care if I see spoilers. Oh no, I don't want to see spoilers because I don't want to know about what happens. We'll get into it, but I don't want to see what happens with my boys. I don't want to know what happens with my boys.
Oh, it's true.
I know.
Be a nervous wreck.
I know. And unfortunately, our night was ruined by Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I feel like they should have a name. A tag name. But
they should, but hold on. Before we get into that, Nathaniel got real nervous.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just making a joke.
Dude, he kayfabe died.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I just meant like he was destroyed on television.
We'll throw kayfabe as an adjective next time.
No, he was just severely injured. Fake severely injured. That's all. Oh my goodness.
No, my happiness died though when Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler won.
So this was a match that has been advertised for like the last 2-3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, at least 3.
They were going to be unifying the NXT and WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, and unfortunately, we basically knew how this match was going to go. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn had no chance. We knew that Ronda and Shayna were going to win this match and unify the titles.
Really?
I knew it. Yeah, 1,000%.
I am just chilling in my positivity world.
Well, that must be nice because
it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
I can't lie.
Well, yeah, I knew going into it, but I felt like the match was okay. We saw Raquel. I know Raquel Rodriguez was watching at the commentary desk, which was like, what's going on here? And I felt like the match was kind of a little slow, a little sloppy, but I don't expect anything different when you have Ronda in the match. So of course we see that they win. And then what happened afterwards, I felt was like a little weird. Ronda making that comment in Spanish or whatever to Raquel, asking her like where she was going and why she was out there, and implied that like people in Louisiana and Raquel have a hard time with one language, never mind understanding two.
Yeah,
That made no sense when you were just saying something to her in Spanish, knowing she's fluent in Spanish. Like, I made no sense.
it was real middle school bully intelligence.
Well, it's just like, remember when she said to Tegan Knox, like, you look like a Skittle, go taste the rainbow next week or something like that. Like, what? You literally
she's
were
a
a fighter.
blockhead. Like, what like she's a blockhead.
Well, you know, when you think of someone who was like a UFC fighter and like you were literally fighting, you think that they would know how to shit talk. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
you would think they had press conferences for this stuff. And I'm like, you're literally calling her a Skittle because she has purple hair. Like, what are we doing?
She got hit in the head a lot.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
So then Raquel is like, why was I out here? Because we want a rematch for the titles that we never lost. And Shayna's like, what are you even talking about? Who's we? We've gone through everybody in this division. Like, what are you even talking about? And then we get Liv Morgan returns much sooner than people anticipated. And there was rumors that she was going to be out for a longer amount of time. So that was excited. They have a little, or exciting. So they have like a little face off in the ring a little bit. And this made me think, could Shayna and Ronda be placeholder champions?
Hold on.
Okay.
We're building to it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And what I'm wondering is, if,
oh my God,
let's say this is the plan, right? Like,
okay,
right now, I'm wondering if this was the plan all along, or if it changed because Liv was able to come back a lot sooner. My guess is that it was changed because this is like a full circle moment. You know what I mean? To have Raquel challenge and Liv is back, and then if they put the titles back on Liv and Raquel, it's like that like 2 months like never happened. You know what I mean? Where they lost it and Liv was gone. That to me, I guess, is fine. Like, if this is what was going to happen, fine. I'm assuming that it was because Liv was able to like recover from whatever injury, the shoulder injury, so much sooner that was the plan. And I almost am like, other than the fact that I'm happy that she's back, I'm glad that this might be the case of Ronda and Shayna just holding the titles until this happens. And this match has also been added to Money in the Bank, I believe.
There's our tag team match. There's your tag team match for Money in the Bank. That means something. And it's a women's tag team match. So
I'm just hoping it's a good match, you know? But I have a feeling that they're not going to lose. Like, if they're placeholder champions, I kind of feel like they're not going to lose it at Money in the Bank. I think it might be something that they lose at SummerSlam. I just don't know. I don't know that they would want to have them lose like the first time, but
no, you want to, if anything, you need that title change to be in an international crowd. They will like it more because of how much they do not like Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler right now. And you're going to get that electric pop. So, boom.
What I'm excited about too is I wonder what they're going to do with the tag team titles, because now they're unified, and so we're going to get new titles, I would assume. Because they've gotten rid of the double titles everywhere else. And they said that whoever our women's champions will be floating from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. So I think it was Bernard who said...
Bernard did say this.
I don't get why they took the NXT women's tag titles from NXT. It makes no sense. I agree. I kind of hate the idea. But in a way, I kind of love that main roster talent will be going down to NXT I feel like it validates the titles a little bit more and it elevates them a little bit more. So maybe we will finally get to a point where NXT will finally get women's tag team titles back at some point, and it won't feel like an afterthought like the women's tag titles have been feeling for basically since they've existed, because they just like didn't know what to do with them and they didn't have legitimate tag teams, and then they broke them up. I feel like this can kind of like legitimize it a little bit, and then we might a few years down the road or whatever get to a point where they bring them back in NXT.
I would say the only thing I'll add to that, to 100% agree, is before the draft, or after the draft actually, we said that the SmackDown women's division is lacking. Okay. I would say tag team division in general is lacking depth. You have your mainstays and you have your, solid tag teams, and then you have, just your, average guys like Viking Raiders, Hit Row, all that they just don't get over. In NXT, the best way to develop young talent is to have them go up against, veterans. So why not have the tag team champions go on to all the shows? Because then they're it's a common face with everything, and it brings more ticket sales in. But then two, it elevates that talent because they're going to be working with these veterans. And then it's like, oh shit, they've had, Sammy and KO had a match against Pretty Deadly. Oh, Pretty Deadly seems like a legit tag team if they're going up for the tag team championship. So, you can do that with a bunch of other teams in NXT, like the Creed brothers is the first one that comes to mind. Have KO and Sammy go up against the Creed brothers. That's a hell of an idea. Or even, I'm going to say that I'll wait because that's a future thought. But yeah,
you're talking about the men's titles, right? You're not.
Yeah, because they're going to do that eventually. I think they're just going to be the undisputed. It's going to be one belt, and with both divisions, they're going to have just floating tag team champions because that they want. It feels like they want singles competitors and like factions. Obviously, are the loophole here. But singles competitors, signed, for lack of a better term, to assigned to a brand.
Yeah.
Where tag teams, you could be teamed up with anyone. You could have an NXT person team up with a SmackDown person, boom, and then they lose the titles. Well, where was that singles competitor signed? Then you just bring that tag team on. That guy is NXT, boom, and he got brought up there.
Well, and I think that they're at a point in NXT where they are becoming more, I hate to say it again, but legitimized, because there was a period of NXT, especially when Sean first took over, that it was rough. It was rough to watch. And it very much felt like developmental. And that's the thing, like, you get it that NXT has transformed from the black and gold era to being a more true developmental part of the company. Whereas, the black and gold era wasn't very developmental. It was basically WWE's indies.
They were just learning WWE broad, like they were just learning WWE wrestling.
But it was like their version of the indies, because they were signing like the biggest people. So now it's back to being like, no, these are our recruits and they're learning and they're trying to develop. And it's like, okay, but it's gotten to a point, I think, where they've kind of like figured out how to do things and what works. And so it is a lot more digestible to watch and not being like, Jesus Christ, like what is happening, and I think that the titles, even if they do it to the men's as well, having them go back and forth is only going to make them better. So And then of course, if you want to cross over the audiences, as we've said on here, they don't cross over a lot. That would force people to watch for their favorite tag teams if that was something that they were interested in. So since we're still talking about this, what do you think happens now with Alba and Isla? Like, what is next for them? Because we already saw that they're not getting a rematch. We're seeing that that Ronda and Shayna are going against Raquel and Liv. So what happens with Alba and Isla?
They go against Liv and Raquel.
You think after?
Right, not even close. Yes, that's their first.
Do you think that this impacts them or like their main event? Like, because
No, I know where you're going at. No.
Yeah. It's just,
I don't think it hurts them at all.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of unfortunate, but I want to see them have like a legitimate feud with women, like a tag team that actually is like a legitimate tag team,
Couldn't agree more.
Because watching them against Ronda and Shayna is not exactly amazing. So, moving on to the Grayson Waller effect with
Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy! Yes, boy!
Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
I'm so obsessed with him. I can't even. You guys don't even understand it. Kit Wilson liked my tweet last night, and I was like, oh my god. And I didn't even say anything.
Yeah.
What I said this to you, I didn't even know that they were tagged in the tweet because I just responded to a tweet.
Classic.
What?
Classic.
Yeah, because like,
What's up?
I
Oh, hey.
I called them killer queens because whatever.
Drop it in
So
the promo.
Grayson Waller welcomes Pretty Deadly, and they're loving that blue gear recently, which I do love because it's like velvet pants. I'm like, yes. I also noticed that they've changed their theme a little bit. So the song is still new, and I've like gotten used to it, but they're definitely going full blown 70s. Did you notice that they had the disco ball, the retro print?
Yeah, I liked it. I think it will evolve eventually, but for now, I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I like it. It's grown on me, so I'm excited that they're doing that. So basically, they're just sitting there with Grayson, who's very similar to them, and they mentioned that too because obviously they're not American, and they're like, "Oh, Americans don't like to banter," blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, we get it.
Brilliant.
You don't like America." So Pretty Deadly was
Is that
just
a red flag? Red, white, blue flag.
They were talking about their match with KO and Sammy that is happening next week on SmackDown, which I still think should be on Money in the Bank, but whatever. And they were talking about how they beat 5 teams last week to become the number 1 contenders.
So funny.
And they just are. I can't deal with like how good they are.
What were they saying this week?
On the bump they were like number 1 contenders, number one contenders, and then they were like Mike, just Mike, and then he says, and they're like just Megan. Like they were just like doing it.
Yeah, them on the bump was incredible.
I know. I told, that's why I was telling you had to watch like the entire half hour because I was like
so good.
Yeah, this week I don't remember what they were saying. I don't remember. I'll have to go back.
They'll come to me, but
yeah, and then as they're talking about all the teams that they beat, they mentioned the Street Profits, and they did not appreciate that they're not as fashionable as Pretty Deadly, so they came out and that kicks off their match, which I'm assuming was either scheduled or it just happened because they were mad about what Pretty Deadly was saying, which Michael Cole is not a fan of Pretty Deadly, which I love.
Not at all.
He was like, imagine being 2 grown men sitting on national television talking about beating teams that you didn't beat. And I was like, you need to calm down, sir.
Oh, Michael Cole's electric.
Well, and it's funny because I don't remember who it was. Was it might have been Pretty Deadly on the bump. I don't remember where they were saying that they love Wade Barrett, like needing to like commentate.
Wade Barrett loves them.
Yeah, I know. And he even they mention it too. Wade says something, or Michael said something about Elton had won like the most beautiful man in like all of England, and then Kit won it like the next year or whatever. And then he was kind of like implying that like England is not known for having attractive men or something. I don't know. And then Wade is like, no, that's such an honor. Like, look at this face. And he's like talking about like, look at his face. Like, and this isn't even the most beautiful. Like about himself. I'm just like,
Wade
oh my God.
He's electric on commentary.
They put the sex in Essex.
That was the line. Yes.
Yeah.
That was the line that was like my first intro.
They look like characters from my favorite movie, Brokeback Mountain. And we're like, what? You just exposed yourself on television, sir. But okay.
I love professional wrestling.
So the match, of course, was great. Pretty Deadly ends up getting the win with Kit helping to keep Dawkins down while he was being pinned by Elton. So we love it. And Street Profits were very bothered, like in legitimate shock that they lost to Pretty Deadly, which I was like,
It was a great win. It was great. Yeah. It was all right. I love this whole match because I looked away for a second, so I forgot how his shirt came off. I don't know how.
No, he took it off. Yeah, Montez ripped it off.
He ripped it off and then put it on because he wanted to show the muscles and all that. I'm getting to it. They do the flip over, boom, commercial. Mm-hmm. You forget about that shirt after he takes it off as watching at home, right? Because he wasn't wearing it to get back from commercial.
Elton.
You too, yeah. So you get you get back from commercial, you have the match, and then to have them win with the shirt at the last second, that's why Pretty Deadly is awesome, because it's that paying attention to the little details like that to kind of do callbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they are. I would say top 3 tag teams right now, with how intelligent they are in the ring, and then to be able to back it up with actually putting on solid matches and really into that heel mentality of just doing what they want. They're awesome. They're it's great.
Yeah, we've talked about how they kind of have an old school energy to them, like
Oh,
the way they're dynamic and everything. And I think that people don't realize either that they are not related. They weren't childhood friends. Like, they literally knew of each other when they started wrestling school, and then they just happened to be like, oh wait, like, we have really good chemistry, we work well together, why don't we be a tag team? Like, to me, that makes it even more unique, because like, even though it's been 7-8 years, I think that they've been doing this together or whatever, the way they come off is like that they've been doing this for 15 plus years
it's insane.
together, because that chemistry is just top notch. Just like everything about them is like what you would want in a wrestler. The way that they, first of all, the way they perform in the ring is phenomenal. The way they speak, their charisma, just like everything that you would possibly want in a new wrestler is exactly what they have. So that's why I'm glad. I'm biased, and I say it every single week because some people will be like, you're just a big fan, and that's why you're complimenting them. No, I mean, yes, but I just mean, like,
you would be, so yeah.
Yes, but I mean, like, even if I wasn't a fan, I would be able to say this about them. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's where, yes.
yeah. So I think that it's great how they're being used, and I think that, I mean, how they're being used, who they're beating, getting these opportunities. It's very it's very telling of how WWE feel about them, and I'm really excited because when they were drafted, I wasn't excited about this at all. I was very nervous.
Why say?
Yeah, well, I should have just listened to Patty Pitt. So anyway,
you should listen to the champ, because when the champ speaks, Sarah, you listen.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm
moving on.
Oh, well, I have to say one more thing.
Okay,
I am so excited for next week. Okay, I know we're gonna get into it, but I'm so excited for next week. I can't. I'm gonna wait. I'm because
happy for you. I'm really happy for you.
I don't know if that's sarcasm.
A little bit both.
Okay.
Half and
so, one of the matches that was not scrapped was Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans, and all I can say was this was 100% a Vince move.
There it is.
Yeah,
this is Vince.
This is a Vince move.
1,000%.
So obviously this ended up being a squash match, which is ironic because why does Charlotte need a squash match? She's the last
up for the match.
I guess, but the thing is like I wrote in my notes, is that this match had no bearing on what is coming up for her. This wasn't a match that showed how good she was. This wasn't a match that was like setting the tone for her match with Asuka. This wasn't instilling fear in Asuka. Everybody knows who Charlotte Flair is at this point. Did she really need a match with Lacey Evans, who's like on vacation 24/7, for her to be like, Asuka, look it, I just beat Lacey Evans in 2 seconds. I am ready for you, Asuka.
Did you see how they were saluting? Like, Asuka was saluting.
Asuka's?
And then, like, Charlotte saluted, funny, and then Asuka's saluting Charlotte. Like, I was like, they are just burying this poor girl, and I kind of love it.
I kind of just love Asuka, if we're being honest. And I really hope that she wins next week, which we'll get into that. But I just thought that this match was like, again, other than screaming Vince, it just didn't seem to really, it didn't add anything. It was not something that we needed to see. But, I mean, great for Charlotte, I guess. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this. So
I don't either.
So now that we've covered SmackDown, let's talk about next week's SmackDown, which will be live from London. And we get Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is back. You know what? His theme has really grown on me. Like, I
It's
originally
so
didn't really
good.
like it, but now I'm just like, I can't imagine him not having it. But it's a theme that, like, whenever he's not the tribal chief, he can't have that. Like, it just won't feel the same. Like when he's not champion, like when he stops,
What
it's
are you
like the way
talking
the
about?
music stops, and like I don't know.
When he that is Roman Reigns' theme song, like forever.
I would have to see how he goes about it when he's not champion. Because like
Fair,
right now,
fair point.
all I can think about is him walking out slowly, stopping, and the music slows down and stops, and then when it picks back up, he does the. But I am excited
Pyro
for this.
everywhere.
Yeah, I am excited about this because of course we didn't get to see any of the aftermath between him and the Usos since the Usos took out his chin last week. And also recently I've just really enjoyed being able to view Roman Reigns with my eyes because he is very good looking. So
Yeah.
no, it's like
What?
it's so funny. My sister used to be like so obsessed with him with the Shield. She was like, "Oh my god, he's so hot." And remember he used to wear the gray contacts? Do you
Not
remember?
really. I
Oh
don't
my
remember
god,
wearing
look up
contacts.
like old Roman Reigns, like the first Shield photos. Maybe I would try and find them. They
Yeah,
had him wearing gray contact lenses, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I was always like, "He's not hot, guys. Like, he's not." But then, like, since he's gotten older and like grown a beard and just like become the tribal chief, I'm like, "Yes, daddy." So that's just I just enjoy it. So I am very excited to see how he is perceived in London. I'm very excited. And then, of course, the match at Money in the Bank. I'm excited about that. And then we also have the Grayson Waller effect with Logan Paul. I'm intrigued.
Cool. I hope LA Knight comes out.
That would be. Grayson Waller effect with LA Knight. Oh. I mean, I'm intrigued by this just because it's Logan Paul, and I feel like Grayson is not a guy that they give him like a script that he has to follow. He very much feels like, oh yeah, like this is kind of what we want you to say, but he just kind of like says whatever. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see that paired with Logan Paul, who's very inexperienced in that kind of, like improv and whatever. It's going to be interesting to see that back and forth between them.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, what's going to happen, because people are going to come out, because every Grayson Waller effect, it doesn't just end with Grayson speaking to his guest.
Of course not, Sarah. It can't. That's not how shows end.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I mean, I don't know what he's going to say. I don't know that anyone really cares, but
I don't.
Yeah, I know. I don't either. And then we have Asuka versus Charlotte for the women's championship.
Ooh.
Who do you think is going to win?
I got Asuka, hands down.
So how do you okay, so if Asuka wins, how does Bianca get incorporated into this? How does it lead to Bianca and Charlotte?
Says, fuck you're barring me from ringside. I'm going out there anyways.
Did they do that?
Oh, they barred it from ringside, yeah.
Oh, wait, because of Charlotte? Like Charlotte asked for it, or they were just like,
no, they said no. It's a little mini feud, we'll say, between Bianca and Adam Pearce.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Adam Pearce, like, it's the board of directors or wherever he's reporting to, said that you are barred from ringside because of the magnitude of this match, which I'm going to kind of play off of you here. If it was that big of a match, why not have it at Money in the Bank?
Yep.
But, that's just me. So Bianca's pissed. She kind of has a reason to be more than pissed.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on Team Bianca right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is an easy way to, we'll say, turn her heel. And I only use the air quotes because no one's going to think of her like that. That it's only going to just change her attitude, maybe a little bit of mannerisms where it's a slow turn against the fans.
Yeah, because I was talking about this earlier with my sister, because there's rumors that are picking up that they want to change her to heel.
I've heard
but this is the thing. It would never work against Charlotte, because Charlotte's a horrible babyface. I don't care what anyone says. You can try and tell me
She's
until
the
the cows
worst.
come home that she's a great babyface. She's not. She's horrible. And if they're trying to continue to push her as a babyface and then try to make Bianca heel, it would never work. The fans are going to turn on Charlotte. They've done it every single time. And for how much Bianca's loved, it wouldn't work, you know? So I agree. I think that if they tried, it would be kind of more of, it's kind of like what I would say is like with LA Knight. LA Knight is a heel, but he's kind of like a Stone Cold Steve Austin and Eddie Guerrero heel type, where it's like, it's not quite that feeling that way, that's not the reaction they're getting from the fans because they're being feared. And so I feel like that would be like kind of what Bianca would do. It'd be kind of like she maybe, like you said, had a worse attitude or a bad attitude, but she can't be heel against Charlotte.
No, she can't. No, she cannot.
So I would assume that my hope is Asuka wins, and worst case scenario, Bianca either gets involved or is a distraction, or maybe Asuka wins clean. But I would assume that this would lead to maybe a triple threat at SummerSlam, or Asuka moves on to a new person, and then we just see Charlotte Bianca. I just feel like because it involves Charlotte and Bianca, they're going to want it to involve the championship. And so I think that that's why it would be a triple threat.
Agreed.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'm fine with that as long as Asuka wins. I just think that Asuka deserves to have a good title reign. I mean, this is Asuka, who was undefeated for how many days in NXT? And are we really sitting here questioning if she could be a placeholder champion? That's messed up. Like, how did we get here? You know?
She's not a placeholder champion. Not with the way she's gone. I'm sorry, but I know what you said. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm emphasizing it for the peeps.
Well, I hope you're right. And then we get Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Pretty Ted Lee for the tag
hope Kevin
team.
Owens smashes Kit Williams' faces. Kit Wilson.
That is very rude because he is an attractive man.
Yeah, and Kevin Owens has rage. He needs to get out.
So
it's your guys going against my guys. I'm sorry.
I know.
This is like Sammy and KO are my college roommate and I, like this. Like, there's actually a picture of me with a KO shirt that says K. It's the first one. I have a beard as thick as KO's, and my buddy, and it's my buddy with an Elmo shirt, red, kind of whatever. But I'm not kidding you. Like, we were 100% KO and Sammy. So when he says you're a rageaholic, we kind of freak out a little bit if you just like really annoy me, and I'll flip a switch. Not like that. I don't want to punch people, but I just need to let out a big yell.
Well, and then I'm like I'm a big old rat for Pretty Deadly. So
yeah, you know? I'm Team Steen.
You're a big rat for Kevin Owens.
I'm a big rat.
You a big old ring rat for Kevin Owens. You're like, poo, Kevin Owens, I love you.
I would love to meet Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Please come on the show.
So this one has me conflicted in a way, but I do think that this is going to end up with Sammy and Kevin winning. Which kind of bums me out because I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for Pretty Deadly to win because they're in England and whatever. But I was thinking about this as well, and I'm kind of bummed at the thought of this being a possible just a one-off match. I'm kind of bummed about that. I understand how this came to be, and it wasn't like an ongoing feud that led to this moment. It was a gauntlet match. But I'm kind of bummed at that idea because, you know, we've talked about how Sammy and Kevin haven't really had any really good feuds since they won the championships at WrestleMania. So it kind of sucks to think that they're going to have this match and then have to go and develop something else and try and whatever, because they haven't been I mean this as respectfully as possible because it's not their fault, but similarly to Rhea Ripley's reign, they've not really had a great tag team championship reign, I would say, since Mania.
Yes, I agree with that. I will say that I have to give you some good and bad news. I'll start with the bad news.
Bad news that Pretty Deadly's losing. I know.
100%. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have to.
I know.
Spoil that for you.
I just said that.
Prediction. That's a spoiler.
Okay.
But good news for you. Sarah, you're forgetting who they're feuding with on Raw.
Imperium. No, I know, but we don't know how legitimately injured Giovanni is because people are saying that's like potentially real. And I just don't know that I believe that they would drop the titles to Imperium. Do you really think they would do that?
1,000% would drop.
Can you imagine? Oh my God.
That's what, and
So it's
that's
like,
gonna be a saga.
it's like a silver lining for me, I guess. But,
That's
you
what I'm
know,
saying. I'm trying to give you some hope, girl.
I know, but it's still, it's like Pretty Dudley in England,
Yeah, but
you
what if
know?
you get Imperium at SummerSlam and you get a shot of Imperium with all the titles
I
doing
know.
the Imperium? Oh shit,
Ugh.
Imperium pose.
Well, the good news,
Just saying.
even if they do lose this match, I am very excited for their gear. I am very excited for the reception because I bet you they're gonna have bomb ass gear for this match because they
Oh,
always get like
they're
special gear.
absolutely.
I am so excited for just like I don't know. I'm just so excited. And that's another reason I shouldn't be streaming during it because I'm gonna be like like throughout the whole thing and people are gonna be like, you need to calm down.
Yeah, I don't know
But
if I don't think you were allowed to watch pay-per-views right now in the art streams because I'm different, or I just scream whatever comes to my head. Sometimes probably not internet appropriate. And I only mean that in the swearing and just we'll say inappropriate. How we'll just put a blanket on inappropriate. And I don't want to share that now. But after, when I collect my thoughts and you do as well, I'll hop in the art streams and we can talk shop for sure.
oh yeah, I mean, I usually watch like quietly because I watch by myself and I hate listening to people talk when I'm just trying to watch. So that's
Oh my
another
god,
thing. Like,
I need to just yell, give
yeah,
my reaction.
I don't. I watch quietly. Um, is there any questions? Oh, Ashton said Rhonda talking on the mic is like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh
I'm
my god,
sorry.
you're
No,
awful.
you're true. You are
Awful.
accurate.
Ashton, you get the champ.
Bernard says, I wonder if Vince is going to be involved with the women's championship match next week. I don't know. He also says, I have Roman's theme song as my alarm when I wake up. That is pretty iconic.
Oh, Bernard, I have done this with multiple wrestlers. It makes you kind of hate their theme song afterwards. First one I did it with was TNA Sting. Go look that up if you haven't, and you'll really think I'm a psycho for waking up to that every day. And then I did Nakamura. Remember that friend I talked about? I just mentioned.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah.
I'll tell it to the peeps again. Little birthday story. Every morning, sophomore year, that alarm would go off at like 8 o'clock because I had early classes. He didn't. We shared a room. He knows who he knows who Shinsei Nakamura is right now because of that. And I don't care. I don't feel bad. I felt like the king of strong style when I woke up. Are you kidding me?
Imagine waking up to a Big Papa Pump. Holler
Yeah,
if you hear me.
No, I asked my friends that. I played that. Like, should I wake up to this song? Oh, I would. What would be the
Or
worst?
Taz, because it starts off with a like beep, beep, and then it's like dun, 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 and then I'd be like, God, that would scare the crap out of me. Like, what is happening?
I listen on a repeat now. I have Romans. What's the other one? There's Roman. I have. Let me look it up. Where's my phone? I gotta find my phone. Anyways, I have Romans in a lot of different people I rotate through. If I can find my phone. Well, Sarah, you know what?
All right, let's see.
What do you?
Thank you, David. That is very nice. Thank you. Thank you. He also says Asuka should never lose to Charlotte. Yeah, that I know. I agree. Bernard says they're talking about Sammy and KO feuding with DIY, which I totally forgot about. Kingdom of Razor is here. He says, sorry, I am late. Unfortunately, we were just about to end too. But yeah, so
hold on. I gotta show you what the. So we have Mellows on repeat. Julia Hart of the House of Black. That's an incredible one. I have The Rock's Hollywood one.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's unbelievable. And yeah, that's kind of the only ones right now. Roman Kingdom. and
Mhm.
then Seth Rollins too, because I just love walking around my house just going, oh, oh.
You're crazy.
Yeah,
You crazy.
yeah.
Wait. Oh, I forgot to up.
Incredible.
But anyway, yeah. So that was the show. That's SmackDown and our preview for SmackDown.
Awesome. And thank you guys for tuning into that little stream SmackDown breakdown. If you like that, well, subscribe to the channel, please. We need all the subscribers we can. We're
I know,
only
we
like
just
3
hit-
away from 700, right?
No, we're already at 700. I was just gonna say we're at 702.
Yeah. Let's
Yep.
ride. Let's get to
Exciting
7. Let's
times.
get to 750. All right, one more question, Kingdom Eraser. I said I would answer, but it's got to be wrestling. Got to be wrestling. So you get the last question before I wrap up. Follow us on all social media platforms: Twitter at @Pat_Pitts and at @SMarshXO, and Instagram at Pitsy35 and at @SMarsh_. TikTok on it is at @SMarshXO as well. And then the YouTube channel, just one thing before I lost my train of thought. If you don't have an hour and 16 minutes and 25 seconds to watch this entire thing, well, we have clips all there for you. YouTube shorts of different topics we've covered. We're talking LA Night. We're talking the Judgment Day. We're talking just everything, basically everything. So go check out those YouTube shorts. Give
Over
your thoughts on
500
it.
videos. We're
That's
getting close to
incredible.
600.
That's incredible. Go
Mhm.
check them out. You have endless amount of time. It's the weekend. So, all right, quick one before we end the broadcast. Your favorite ladder match is not Money in the Bank involved. Ooh, this is a
Shawn
good
Michaels
one.
versus HBK, IC title, WrestleMania.
That's easy for you. I will go John Cena, Edge, TLC. It was, and then Rock, Triple H at SummerSlam. That one was fantastic. There's a couple others. We could have a whole topic about it. But yeah, there you go. Champ to answer your question, and he's getting out of the art of streams. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. And remember that you can do it. All you need to do is try. We will see you, I think, on Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Peace out.
Yes.